Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Standard 81 podcast. My name is Sincere, and we are back with another episode. But before I get into this, let me go ahead and take a quick 30-second break, and I'll be back with you in a moment in three, two, one. And we are back. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, before I get started, first, go ahead and hit that like button. Let me know that you rocking with me. That'll help me out 100%. As well as subscribe if you think if you think this content is good for you and the message that I'm saying is up to par. Last but not least, comment down below and share this with somebody who you think needs it. Without any further ado, let's get into this. Today we're going to be talking about censorship. And I'm going to start out like this. In today's society, social media is taking over everything, including our freedom of speech. You say, what do I mean by that? Well, through censorship. Now, companies have tried many different ways to censor our freedom of speech. The government has tried many different ways to censor our freedom of speech, but we have finally found one to work. And what is that way? It is incentivizing you for dollars. Incentivizing you for dollars. Now, before I say this, let me first remind you that I am a Christian. So I believe the way I believe, but I'm seeing something happen here that I think really needs to be called out, because there's starting to be a problem, right? And before I say what I gotta say, let me say I respect every platform. I respect the rules. I respect everything about it, but this needs to be said. These words that I'm about to state are highly controversial in spaces such as these. The first word, domestic violence. The second word, uh, sexual assault. The third word, rape, kill, die, and so on and so on. I could say plenty of other words that within the social media space we have begun to self-censor. And at one time, people have tried to censor our speech by way of prosecution, by way of cancel culture. All that has never seemed to work because there has been high backlash against these things. But now we have found a way to work. If we offer you income in place of censoring yourself, now we got you. We don't even have to try. All we got to do is say, hey, we will give you more dollars, more marketing revenue, more ads, more viewers if you just censor yourself. And we've fallen for it, hook, line, and sinker. Now, let me say this. There's a time and a place for everything. That's what it says in the Bible, right? But words mean something. And when you start telling people they need to censor their words, you begin to devalue the whole meaning behind the word and the issue that is being brought up. What do I mean? If you say we need to talk about gun violence, which is another word that's being censored, they want you to say pew pew. So we're going to talk about pew pew violence. What? Does that even make sense? Now the issue becomes like we're trying to talk to children. When really we're talking to grown adults about a legitimate issue that needs to be discussed dynamically about adults. See, part of this thing is part of the reason that there is so much censorship in my thought process is that adults are not being adults. And I'm just going off in a little rant here. Adults are not being adults. They are allowing their children to get on the internet and go to social media platforms and watch and listen to anything. So now, grown adults who should be talking to other grown adults about grown adult things have to blatantly censor themselves because there's the chance that a child may be listening to that. And the way to get you to continue to do that is to offer you money. But when you take away these words and you replace them for other words, it begins to lose its value. For example, last night I was listening to a testimony about a young lady, how she took her trip, how she went to hell. The Lord sent her to hell. And in this particular video, she talked about a young man who passed away in a fatal car accident. And the moderator of the particular video censored the word dead and die. Why? For ad revenue, because you're not allowed to say that on these platforms because it's a bad word. Why? It's something that happens to people. The gravity is lost when you're not able to say that. See, when you begin to throw money in the face of people, you give them a bargaining chip. And the overall society has realized that. They realize we can't force them into doing nothing. People have minds of their own. They didn't made up their minds on what they want to do. But if we offer them something, then maybe, and we have done it hook, line, and sinker. But we take away from the gravity of the whole situation when we start censoring ourselves all the time. We take away from the whole discussion of the topic by not saying the words that go along with it. If somebody is struggling with porn addiction, what use is it to say corn? Corn is a vegetable that is grown in the ground that people eat. So if you're talking about how it's not good and how you shouldn't be doing these things, why not just state what it is? Why not just state the word the way it is? And see, here's some of what is beginning to happen. You've got regular people's conversation now beginning to sound more like social media talk. And then when people that are not in sync with social media begin to talk to these other people, they don't even understand what they're saying because we're using so many acronyms and so many replacement words that all of a sudden we don't even sound normal. Our conversations sound weird because we are so used to censoring ourselves and so used to not saying certain things in a certain way in order to gain revenue that all of a sudden we're not even using normal language. And this is part of the problem. This is the reason I wanted to talk about this. We already are having a hard time relating to each other just on a day-to-day basis and interacting with each other just on a day-to-day basis. And now we get on these social media platforms and they're telling us in order to keep your ad revenue up, in order to keep your revenue going, you need to censor your speech. Not so much that you don't need to talk about a particular topic or not that certain things are wrong, but these particular words we don't want you to say because they jostle people the wrong way, or we just think they're bad to say and they make people feel a certain way. Cool. It's supposed to make you feel a certain way. It's funny how certain words in the English language now are being censored, but every filthy word that comes out of a person's mouth is highly uncensored. People can drop the F bomb, they can drop GD, they can drop B, C, you name any curse word in the book, and social media will let you say it blatantly without censoring a doggone thing out unless it's obscene and obtuse. Meaning that they're using the word so much and in such profound ways that you literally can't overlook it. But if you watch, so see, now that I'm in this space as a social media content creator and I'm looking at these things, I see it. Ain't nobody remember how they used to edit. If you grew up in the 90s and you listen to hip hop music, they used to edit albums, right? From bad words, right? Curse words. They used to edit those out. Or they would tell the rapper, hey, do you have another word that can replace that word? Because we want to come out with an edited album for those who would love to listen to your music, but don't want to hear all the obscenities that go along with it. Now we're doing the reverse of that. We're saying, hey, you can say as many curse words as you want, but don't say these certain words because they rattle the feelings and they rattle the emotions of people. And somehow these words and these phrases are controversial when they should be talking about when they should be being talked about openly. They should be unsettling. They should make you feel uneasy because it's a strong topic with strong words behind it and strong principles behind it and repercussions and consequences behind them. Now, let me get on to this next point because a pretty stop and think about this. I want you to stop and think about this. If they can get us to do this now, self-censor, what do you think can happen in the future? It's my concern as a believer that it may only get worse because believers in the social media space, what if they come in you and tell you, hey, we don't want you talking about the Bible anymore, or we want you to leave this particular part out because it makes people feel uneasy. Or if you are going to talk about it, you need to say Jesus was unalived on the cross. Not Jesus died on the cross for our sins. Are you seeing what I'm saying? And the only the incentive that they're offering you to do these switches is revenue dollars. And as a Christian, you got to start asking yourself, what am I willing to risk in order to tell the truth? Because if you really call yourself a believer, or you really call yourself somebody who wants to make change, you can't go along with the system that's set in place and think somehow things are going to change. Now, let me say this, and I'm not saying to be disrespectful. I'm not saying to go against, but you got to start thinking about the things that you say and how you're doing them. If you're talking about a particular topic in a certain framework, like let's say you're talking about sexual assault, why should you not be able to talk about, let's say you are talking about sex and having a full discussion about it, the both good sides and bad sides. Why should you not be able to use that word? You're devaluing that particular word in the context behind the conversation. I heard on TikTok people starting to say smex. What in the world is that? Smex. So now we're making up words in order to keep our revenue dollars high and appease the companies that say we should have right to speak on their platform freely, as long as we fall within these particular guidelines. But now they're asking you to censor yourself, and you say, "Yeah, yes, sir, master. I'm going to do that because I want more of your dollars." And I understand why secular people do it, but as Christians, I will never get that because it's only a matter of time. Remember, there's only two sides. There's the side of good and there's the side of evil. There's the world side and there's God's side. Because soon enough, if you're a believer, just like I am, we know that there's only going to be two ways. Ain't gonna be no, yeah, I don't quite believe in everything they're saying over here, but I really don't want to fall into this. And it's not about a religious group. You either on the side of good or you on the side of evil. And these are small implementations that they're doing in order to build up to a larger and more broad way of censoring. If we can incentivize you to stop saying certain things and stop talking about things in a certain way, then all of a sudden we can begin to take away from you other things, as long as we add some material type of value to you, or some type of anything to you. Am I lying about this? Now, am I saying that we should take these words and these terminologies and use them loosely and play around with them and not know the brevity of which we are talking about? No, I am not. But the whole thing is when you begin to self-censor and not discuss things in the way that they should be discussed, and not use the words that qualify, or you take away, or you begin to invent words to replace certain words, you take away the whole issue. You take away the brevity of it. You take away the weight of it. And if something is heavy, it should be heavy. If something is hard to swallow, it should be hard to swallow. If something is difficult to talk about, it should be difficult to talk about. Because it's a difficult topic. If you're going to say, I'm a content creator and I can do and say what I want to say, but all of a sudden you can be swayed by your masters, which is the almighty dollar, are you really doing and saying what you want to say? No, you're not. You're not. What you are is a slave to the very people that you say you trying to free. This may be controversial, and this may not even get out to a whole bunch of people, but it needs to be said. Whether censorship is still censorship, whether or not you do it on your own or they begin to force it, it's just they found a way that works. And then all they got to do is now that we're doing it on our own, all they got to do is convince us even more that these things are right. More censorship is right. More things are right to not say. More things are right not to talk about. And then eventually they got us right where they want us. And then they can begin to filter in more propaganda. And then you feel uncomfortable talking about what you should talk about because now you're worried about your livelihood as a content creator. Well, I'm going to give you one suggestion. And my suggestion is you shouldn't depend on man anyway. That's number one. Your hope should never be in what man has to do for you or what man can give you. It should be on God. And whether he give see, because man can take away what man gives. Cool. But no man can stop the plan of God. Period. And number two, you shouldn't just rely on one stream of revenue. If you're a content creator and you're making decent money from content creation, you should begin to invest now in something that can make you revenue in the future and not just social media platforms. I'm not talking about, oh, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok, and I'm on YouTube, and that's not divesting your stream of revenue. You're still in that same stream. You're still in that social media stream. You're still in that media marketing stream. So my my closing thoughts to you is this. Let's begin to think about the things that we say and do. Not just only in the negative sense, but in a good sense. And think about the things that we are saying and how we want to say them. And the and the words that we are saying. This is why I say we need to get back to good is good and bad is bad. Good means good, bad means bad. Because when we start taking words and trying to make them be something else, all of a sudden, words don't mean as much. And it's easy for people to come in and say, you don't need to say that. You don't need to say this, because people know what you mean by saying this word or saying this word, because they all know the difference. No, there's a generation that's coming up after us. All us people that understand all this stuff and can comprehend all this stuff. There's a generation that's coming up that needs to know the truth. And the only way they're going to know the truth is for us to stand up and say it like it is. And the more and more we self-censor for the dollars, for the almighty dollar, the less effective we're going to be. And that's all I'm going to say. Guys, once again, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Go ahead and hit that like button for me. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't like it either. I don't care. Any interaction is fine by me. Comment down below. Let me know if you thought I was right, if you thought I was wrong, as well as share this with somebody who you think needs to hear it. I appreciate it so much. Check out my TikTok. It's over there at the Standard 81 Podcast, as well as the Instagram at Sincere the Artist. And I will see you guys on the next one. God bless you all. Peace.